Hi, my name is Alexi. I'm a playwright. I've worked in the theatre for many, many years, almost 30 years now. I'm half British, half Greek, so my background is sort of bilingual, bicultural. I grew up in Athens. My real name is Alexi Kaye, which is a very Greek name. But then when I came to Britain to be an actor originally, I adopted my mother's maiden name, Campbell. I was an actor for about 18 years. I loved being an actor. I had, for the most part, quite a good career. I kept busy, so that was that's always a bonus as an actor if you can keep busy. And I worked a lot in the theatre. It was my love of the theatre. I always sort of had a great affection for that medium, and perhaps it's because I came from two cultures, both Greek and British. Cultures have a sort of a steeped in kind of in theatre, ancient Greek theatre, and then Shakespeare, of course. And I grew up with that. I had a very inspiring teacher at school who introduced me to drama and plays. So I was determined to go to Britain and be an actor, which is what I did. I had developed, I suppose, the ability to complete things. So I finished my first play and I sent it out to a few theatres around Britain. I waited a long time for a response. It was a black comedy, a very strange black comedy called Death in Whitbridge. And then responses started coming back, and they were positive. I got a very encouraging reply from the Hampstead Theatre. But I was advised that it would be very difficult to produce this particular play because it had a very big cast. So it was very expensive to mount. So I was given this advice that I should go away and write another play, but make sure I had a slightly smaller cast to make it easier to produce. So that's exactly what I did. I was actually on tour as an actor, and I was touring around Britain in a play called Kindertransport, and I started writing my second play. This was a play called The Pride, and I wrote it over a few months. And The Pride really is the play that changed my life because it was produced, and happily it enjoyed a real success in London, was well received, and it received awards, and then it's been produced since then in many countries around the world, in the States, in Japan, and Australia, and Germany, and Brazil. And so I've had this lovely experience of watching the play. And then, of course, what else did I, trying to think what else I learned as an actor, was just simply that in order to compel an audience, in order to keep an audience with you for 2 hours, which is a big ask because, you know, there's a contract made between the people on stage and the people off it. It's a contract that if you come to me for 2 hours, I will tell you a story. You can't bore the audience. You have to keep them there. You have to keep them as riveted as possible. And you start learning about the storytelling of theatre and how you can use lots of different techniques in order to achieve that. And as I said, a lot of those things are things that I was first introduced to as an actor. As an actor, you know when an audience is getting bored. I would say that my advice to people who are starting out or who are interested in life in the theatre, the first thing is you've got to really, really, really love it. And to the extent that you don't really have a choice, you can't do anything else because it is a hard life. All those cliches that you keep hearing are true. You know, there will be unemployment. There will be times when you're not earning any money, where you have to work in a call center or you have to do whatever other jobs to keep some cash coming in, and you've got to love it. But if you do, then it's worth it because it pays back a huge amount. I mean, I've had a fantastic time working in the theatre. As I said earlier, I adore it as a medium. There's something hugely exciting because it's in the moment, isn't it? It's always alive. It's happening right there. And the other advice I would say is go and watch as much theatre as you can. good theatre, bad theatre, mediocre theatre, terrific theatre, all kinds of theatre. And it's important because that's a way of finding out what your taste is, what you like. You'll end up writing plays like the plays that you love. So if there's a certain genre or a certain type of theatre that you love, then that's, that'll feed your imagination. A lot of times it's inspiration, isn't it? You'll see something you love and then you'll say, I want to write a play like that. And then, of course, your play will be very much your own, but it's good to sort of constantly feed your imagination. Other tips for writing. One thing I think is really important is you do need a certain amount of courage. And what I mean by that is that for me, the plays that I like are the plays where the writer's investing a certain part of herself or himself into it. So they're writing something which is coming from a personal place. That is what takes courage, because in some way there is a sort of certain amount of a confessional in that. You're sort of sharing parts of yourself, which might be very private. Thoughts that you've had, feelings that you've felt, which you've never shared. And that is frightening. I mean, I remember that before, the night before the reading of The Pride, I spent most of the night just being sick. I was so ill because it was like something was coming out of me, which I was writing things which felt very, I suppose, close to the bone. I think one of the reasons that particular place had the success it has is because when you put something, the more personal you are, in some way the more universal you become. So that you're saying things, and that is the whole point, I think, of why we do what we do. We want, what excites me about going to the theatre is when I go to the theatre and something is articulated, and I think, God, that's exactly what I feel, but I've never said that. And somebody is expressing, a character on stage is expressing things that maybe you've shied away from, or things that you're a bit nervous of expressing. I don't know if that makes sense, but I do think that there is that element of it which needs a certain amount of honesty. And if you're going to be honest, that goes hand in hand with a little bit of courage. Then I would think the other thing that's really useful is to face in yourself the things that, if theatre is about conflict, it's very useful to find in yourself the things you're conflicted about. And this could be anything. This could be personal issues, or it could be things which are political ideas, social ideas about the world. It's good if you have somebody who knows exactly what they feel and it's just one thing and they're very, decided upon topics and there's no discussion. They'll probably won't make a good playwright, because I think it's useful, the more conflicted you are, a lot of that conflict that you feel inside yourself, as I say, about personal relationships, about religion, about politics, about whatever subject you like, that conflict will feed the drama. To some extent, to put drama on stage, that has to come from drama within yourself. I kind of feel that. So that's very useful, I think, to be aware of that inner conflict and to find it, to try and unearth it inside yourself. And finally, I think that a useful tool, if you like, when you start writing is just to look for drama in your life everywhere and to be aware of where it is. I mean, drama ultimately is, you have to ask yourself, why is it that when there's a huge fight on the street, we kind of stop, we want to know what's going to happen, and we see moments of great emotion or conviction, people having these huge arguments, and there is something compelling about that. And I think that, you have to constantly have an antenna for drama and watch it where it is. And we all have drama in our lives. I don't think there's any question about that. So when you locate it, find it, listen to it, note it, and then let it percolate, and then it'll come out, hopefully, in a play. So it's great to be here in Mumbai. Thrilling to be here for my first time. Invited by the Tata Literature Live Festival. It's just a joy. And also to be here invited by the British Council, because the British Council has played quite a big part in my life. I grew up in Greece. I went to Greek school, but I was using the British Council library a lot, and also seeing quite a lot of plays that the British Council were bringing to Greece. So this is me doing my bit for the British Council.